Welcome to this free immigration help channel. In this video I'm answering some of your questions in your comments. Before I get into it though, I wanted to say thank you for all your support and all your kind words. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to keep this channel going. So let's get into some of your questions. I try to do these videos answering the questions just because I think it might be helpful to other people who have similar questions. It would be good for them, obviously, to hear the answers as well. So let's get into it. And the very first comment says Salsa Mix 2922, whatever that means. Okay, let's move on to the real question from Leah H. Hello, I have applied for an I-539, which is the extension of stay, on my B2 visitor's visa online. I received a notice to appear for biometrics. After my biometrics appointment, will my I-539 application be submitted to USCIS, or is there a chance they will still require me evidence or documentation? I'm just trying to gather if the fact that I got an appointment for biometrics means that my evidence and explanation for reason to extend is sufficient enough, and that is why I'm now moving on to biometrics. Excellent question, Leah. Yes, so basically whenever you submit that I-539 extension, it goes directly to the USCIS, to the US basically Customs and Immigration Services. So you should not worry about that. Since they already scheduled the biometrics appointment, it means that they pretty much have everything that is needed, because usually whenever they do need something, they ask for it before the biometrics appointment. So since that was already scheduled, you're good, and the case should be just moving forward without any problems. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Ria Lynn Esperanza. Sir, my passport stolen by employer. How can I apply visa? Wow, sorry this happened to you. I have seen a few cases like this where, yeah, it's not a very good situation to be in. But obviously your visa goes into the passport, and usually visa is associated with the certain specific passport number, right? So meaning that obviously if you have lost your passport, if it was stolen, you're applying for a different passport, and your new passport is going to be with the new passport number, and the old passport number will be entered into the system saying that that specific passport with that passport number is stolen or lost or whatever happened to it, right? And that is done in order to prevent, for security purposes, so that people don't have different passports for different things, right? Or somebody else doesn't use your passport or something like that. So the very first thing to do in your situation would be to apply for a new passport, to make sure that in the system it says that your old passport that was stolen from you, it says that it was stolen. That's the very first thing. So you need to get a new passport. Once you get the new passport, then you are doing all of your application, whatever kind of visa. You didn't really specify what kind of visa you're applying for, but because it is a comment on the I-94 video, I can probably safely assume that you are already in the United States, so you're either extending your visa, your stay, or you want to apply for something different like a student visa or employment visa or work visa, something like that. So the very first thing to do in your situation would be to get a new passport. That is, of course, if you're unable, there is no way for you to get that passport, that old passport, from your employer or ex-employer. Okay, so let's move on to the next comment. Hi, does the extension of stay I-539 affect your future entrances with the same visa? I have a sick patient, I'm assuming, in the US and want to apply for extension, but I also want to be, or maybe parent in the US and want to apply for extension, but I also want to be sure that I'll be able to enter US again in an emergency situation even after this extended period expires too. It's an excellent question. excellent question. I know a few people who were worried about that when they were doing the extension, but this is really the whole point of doing the extension of stay. It's a legal process, obviously, in order to secure your future entry, to make sure that you did not overstay in the eyes of Customs Border Protection, the USCIS. So whenever you're entering back into the country, they look at your record and they say, okay, so you came here, we gave you 6 months, you needed more time, so you followed the process and you applied for that extension, it was approved, you extended your stay, so everything is good. And now you're coming in again, so because there were no problems, here you go, here's another one. So yes, to answer your question briefly, it's not going to affect your future entry. As long as everything is done properly, it's not going to affect. Extension of stay is there in order for you to make everything legally and not have any problems in your on your future entry. Okay, moving on. Hopefully that answers your question. How do you sign online? How to renew green card? Okay, so that's a comment on my video on application to replace the permanent residence card, to renew your card. So how do you sign on online? So basically, whenever you're doing your online application, when you go to USCIS.gov, and when you go to forms, when you go to actual form I-90, that is the application for replacement of permanent residence, you will see that there is an option to file online. Once you click that option to file online, it will get you to this page right here. This is the basically the sign-in form to the USCIS online account, and you will see the option here, create account. So if you don't have account yet, if you never filed any form online, this is where you do it. This is where you create so you enter your email, then you enter the password, your personal details, sort of stuff. Very straightforward. Okay, moving on. Thank you for a helpful video. You're very welcome. I didn't get for my sister and her son, 6-year-old, should I file one form or 2 forms? That's an excellent question. So this is a comment for my video that I've done for the special program that USCIS has currently going. It's called Uniting for Ukraine, and let's go and find out. As always, it's a good opportunity for me to demonstrate how straightforward, how simple USCIS website is, how easy it is to navigate through it. So as you can see right now, it's on the very front page, Uniting for Ukraine. So this is the program, and in order to be considered for that program, all you're doing really is you're filing a very straightforward form, I-134, and that's the Declaration of Financial Support. So we're gonna go here, and as you can see, this is the page. Now, the form I-134 is nothing new. It's been around for a while now. All right, it's just a declaration of financial support where you are showing that you are an American citizen or permanent resident here in the United States of America. You are willing to take the responsibility for somebody who you're filing that financial support declaration for. And for that program, Uniting for Ukraine, this is what you're doing. So, to answer your question, let's see. We can go for the form itself, and really it helps, the application form itself, or you can go through the instructions, but I want to go through the form itself. So we have the information for the beneficiary, and obviously you're going to be the beneficiary yourself. That's you, and I'm going to go to the beneficiary. Let's see. I am filing this form on behalf of myself as the beneficiary, and others. No, actually, you will be another individual who is the beneficiary. So we are the petitioner, and the person who we are filing for is the beneficiary. So let's see. Beneficiary, the place of birth, it is a less of stay, beneficiary's income, beneficiary's assets. Yeah, so information about the individual agreeing to financially support the beneficiary. So that's you. That's going to be you, and that's going to be your information here. So looks like looks like in the form there is only one beneficiary per form. So that means, to answer your question, if you are filing this for more than one person, then you have to file a separate form for her 6-year-old son as well. So you're filing 2 forms, not 1 form. Alright, as you can see, USCIS.gov, you can find all the answers to your questions, very straightforward, and it's official source of information. It's not, you're looking through the online forums, whatever. All the information that I provide here is based on everything at USCIS.gov, but keep in mind that sometimes the information changes, so make sure to verify what I'm sharing here on this channel, because sometimes things update and new things, new rules apply. Okay, so moving on, we'll try to finish up by the end of this page here, so that the video is not too long, and then we'll do a separate video for the next. Okay, I recently got approved for my green card permanent residence. Congratulations, this is great news. But I haven't paid the first fee for it, because I was wondering if I change my last name due to marriage, if I need to file the I-90 before I pay the first fee, or if I should pay it and then change it as a renewal, or what should I do with my particular case? It's a very interesting question. I am assuming that there might have been some kind of mistake on the side of USCIS, because you really can't have your application go through without paying the fee, because it is once you pay the fee that they start reviewing your application. So here's a few things, right, for you to consider. Make sure that you really are approved for green card, and you are getting your information from the official source, which is USCIS.gov. Go to the USCIS.gov, and there is a case status, and I've done a separate video on getting the case status on their website. Check over there. If it really says you're approved over there, congratulations, somehow you ended up getting it without paying the fee, which is really strange. Usually you have to pay the fee before it's even reviewed. Okay? But now to answer your second question, changing your name. With green card, it's not as it really depends on which state you live in. It is important to keep your name updated, but keep in mind that the green card is not the last stage in the process. There is also naturalization that you will be going through. So if you have your name changed, you can always just update it during the naturalization, and you get your naturalization certificate with your new passport, and you will actually get the option to change your name legally during the naturalization. In fact, the officer that you will have your interview with, they will specifically ask you, do you want to change your name? And it's a really simple process. You just say yes, you give them the new name, they put it there, and then when you go for your naturalization ceremony, you get your naturalization certificate, and also the petition to change name that is also signed and approved by the court, basically. So you really don't need to worry that much about it, unless it's, in your case, it's specifically very necessary, because then it's kind of a double, going through the double process. You apply for the green card, and now you're applying for the renewal of a green card just because the name changed. And looks like in your case, it's just a last name due to marriage. Honestly, not a big deal if you are doing it, because a green card at the end of the day is just your immigration status, and at the end of the day, USCIS know who you are regardless of whether you have your old last name or the new last name over there. Everything else is the same. So as long as the state where you live in is not very particular, for example, here in Florida, it's not necessary when you change your name. Even if it's a complete name change, it's not necessary to update all the IDs, identification, driver license, all that sort of stuff with your new name. I mean, obviously it helps to do so, but it's not necessary by law in this state. So consider all of these options, whichever works best for you. But like I said, during the naturalization process, there will be an option to change your name, and it's going to be very simple. So you might as well wait for that. Okay, moving on. Hello, once Ukrainian citizens arrive, will they be allowed to work in the USA? Will their children be able to attend school? How long does it take for them to process this application and for Ukrainians to arrive? I was given an 800 number, but there is no live person, only a voice bot. Thank you. Yes, unfortunately, that's how it is. It's really hard to get through to USCIS. There is a way. There is a way if you play around with those options that you select when you call the 800 numbers. There is a way to get through to a live representative. They have a live call center. It's not easy, but keep on trying, because that's the best way to get any kind of information on your case. But to answer your question, again, I highly recommend going to this main Uniting for Ukraine page. Now here, let's see if we can find information once they get after the beneficiary's parole into the United States. There you go. So applying for employment authorization, that's your answer right there. After you, not you, the petitioner, the beneficiary. The beneficiary in this case is the person in Ukraine, all right? And you are the petitioner. So after the beneficiary from the Ukraine comes to the United States, they are eligible to apply for discretionary employment authorization from USCIS. And discretionary employment authorization means that it is at a discretion. That's really what it means, from USCIS. So yes, they can, which is obviously great news. They can work, they can get their social security number, and they can legally work in the United States of America. Will their children be able to attend school? Yeah, obviously. If the parent is allowed to work, that means their status allows them. They're not immigrant. Well, it depends. In this case here, because it's a new program, you have to keep in mind that right now they're opening up the pathway for people in Ukraine to come here into the United States, right? Even if it is through the declaration of financial support from you, right, from the petitioner. But you have to keep in mind that there is not yet, at least maybe that I know of, maybe it's in the works, the program that allows those Ukrainian citizens who came here already to naturalize themselves here based on them being here, right? So it's sort of a temporary kind of immigrant / non-immigrant status, meaning that it has benefits from the immigrant status and it has certain benefits from non-immigrant status. So they can come here, they can work, but can they apply for a green card based on the status? Not sure yet. Nothing is about that is specified in here, which is the main, I'm assuming not yet terminated. You see, it's nothing yet. But in the future, obviously, there might be an opportunity to do that. Okay, moving on to the next question. What if you did not register because you did not know such a law even existed and you want to join the army after 26? Great question. That is a question from CTN Gel on my video, What is Selective Service System? Now, honestly, I have to say, I mean, I'm not an expert in immigration. I'm not an expert in anything. But I'm even more so not an expert whenever it comes to the, being in the military and being in the army. So the reason why I made that video is because for immigrants, for male immigrants who come to the United States under a certain age, they have to register for this selective service system, because that question arises during the naturalization process. Whenever you're sitting in your interview, your naturalization interview with an immigration officer, they ask you, have you been registered for the selective service? And selective service is what it sounds like. It's you register yourself with United States military, and if there is an emergency situation, they might select you to serve in the military. All right. Now, your question, obviously, if you want to join the army after 26, I'm sure there is a way to join the army at really any time you want to join, if you want to serve. And if that's the case for you, thank you for having the will to serve the country. That is great. I think your question would be best suited not to me, because I'm more in the immigration department, but someone actually who was in the service, is in the service, or maybe one of the branches of the army. You know, they have their local offices. That's where I would go to direct your question. That would be best answer. But if you're an immigrant and you had no idea that you needed to register for selective service system, and if you're asking this question because you have a naturalization coming up, that's fine. Just say it as it is. That's the best thing to do. You know, be as honest as you can. You did not know, you had no idea that you had to register for the selective service system, and there you are. Should not really be a huge deal, because after all, it's a selective service. It's mandatory to register for selective service, but it's not mandatory to serve, because you're not been selected yet, so they might be lenient on this. Okay, moving on. Hi, I met a woman who lives in Iran, and due to that, I can't really visit her. Is that a suitable situation for a waiver? From what I have seen, that would put my life in danger to go there and visit her. Also, since there isn't an embassy in Iran, where would she go for a consulate or embassy? Excellent question, Christian Wilker. Excellent question. Yes, absolutely. That would definitely qualify as a waiver, as a situation. Obviously, would help to have a statement with that explaining the situation, why you're asking for the waiver. Because in K1 visa, basically the requirement, and I'll explain for everyone else if you don't know, there's a requirement that you do need to meet up with your fiance, right? With the person that you're looking to get together for purposes of a marriage, right? There is a requirement for you guys to meet up somewhere and see each other and figure it out each other before filing this K1 visa. But there is an option for a waiver where you guys do not meet because you cannot meet. And in these circumstances, yes, absolutely. Iran, obviously USCIS would be a little bit weird for them to expect you to go to Iran, right, to meet with possibly your potential future wife, right? So here are a few things that can play out, that immigration can look at. Is there a safe point somewhere, not in Iran, but around Iran, where you guys can meet? They can look at. So for example, if there is a country next to Iran, peaceful, everything is safe, everything is great, they have a US embassy over there, and you guys could meet over there. Nothing prevents you to travel over there. Nothing prevents her to travel over there. And you guys can meet there safely. They can say, oh, but you could have met over there, right? I'm just giving you the situation, the possible cases. If there isn't, obviously you can say, hey, no, this is it. This was preventing me to go there. And in your statement, that's the things that you have to consider, and that's the things you have to explain, so that no further questions are left for the officer that is reviewing your application. They can't say, oh, you could have traveled over there and met over there. So make sure to keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is, again, if, and you asked that question in your comment, if there is no nearby embassy in her country, then she should be looking for embassies in the nearby countries. So what is the next country that is neighboring to Iran that has a US embassy that she can go to and go through her interview? So absolutely, to answer your question briefly now, yes, it does qualify for the waiver, for sure. But keep in mind that whoever is reviewing your application, they might still say, oh yeah, but you could have traveled to the nearby country. So take that into consideration and plan accordingly. Okay, moving on to the next one. 3 more comments that we'll review in this video. No, then I'll let you guys go. From Grashi Green. I'm in a relationship for a couple of months now, and we haven't meet in person. Is it possible, can I get K1 visa? Thank you for your nice reply. God bless. God bless you too. Thank you for your kind words. So again, perfect timing for both of these. Yes, you can apply for K1 visa, absolutely, and you can ask for the waiver and say, hey, you know what, we were not able to meet because this and this and that. But there's got to be good reasons for this and that, right? You can travel, or she can travel somewhere where you guys can meet. That qualifies for a waiver. So again, following up on a question from Christian, make sure that you kind of go through all of these different options, because you don't want to file for a K1 visa and get a denial because you didn't consider the other options. Okay, moving on. Kush Patel asking a question. My case is linked to USCIS account and I see option of changing address in profile of my USCIS. Can I do there instead of filing AR11? Excellent question. Yes, absolutely, 100%. In fact, doing that online is literally the same thing as AR11, except you're not filing this application. It saves you time. It's much faster. So yes, absolutely, 100%. Okay, move on to the next one. Sofela Iyanu. Hello, sir. My I-130 petition has been documentarily approved May 2021. Please, when will I be invited for interview? So that is a question for petition for alien relative. Okay, hello sir, my I-130 petition has been documentarily approved. Perfect. Congratulations. That's good news. So if it has been approved documentarily, let me ask you this. Has it been approved documentarily on the side of USCIS or on the side of the Department of State? Because with I-130, the petition for alien relative, it's a different department stage kind of application process. It's kind of lengthy and it has a few stages. So first you file it with USCIS. If they approve it, they pass your case to the Department of State. Then there's this whole separate stage that you do through the Department of State, and if they approve you through there, only then there will be the interview scheduled. So if you have been approved through the USCIS, then it means you will receive very soon the email from the Department of State, and there will be a whole bunch of other things that you'll have to do online with them. Filing the documents with them, paying a few fees, filling out a few applications. Yes, there's a lot of stuff to do. But if you have been already approved through the Department of State, they accepted your documents, they told you, okay, you're good to go. And usually they say it through email by saying, we have accepted all your documents. Somebody from United States Embassy in that country where your relative is will be reaching out to your relative, scheduling the interview. If that's the case, that's it. You're all done. You're good. The next step is for U.S. Embassy to reach out to your relative. That, unfortunately, depends on a lot of things. First of all, it depends on the country where it is and the embassy and how busy they are. They schedule it in the order that basically that request was received. It can take up sometimes few weeks if it's not too busy, and sometimes it can take up to few months before they schedule the interview. So I wouldn't worry that much about it. Your relatives, they can always call up the embassy, and sometimes some of the embassies in some countries, US embassies, they have an option to talk to a live representative and, hey guys, I have been approved. My brother, sister, husband, whatever, in United States, they filed a petition for me. I have been approved and I'm waiting for my interview. If you guys have any information, something like that. Doesn't hurt, right? Don't be disappointed if they say no, we can't give you any information, because sometimes they can't. But keep in mind, before the interview, there will also be a few things that your relative will have to complete, like going through the medical examination with the approved clinic. So there are a few steps, but you are well on the way. If it was already approved by the State Department, you're well on the way there. Just patience is the best thing to do. And now, before I let you all guys go, I wanted to go back to Kush Patel question. My case is linked to USCIS account and I see option of changing the address and profile of my USCIS. One thing that I wanted to kind of recommend, just in case, if you have an active USCIS case in process, I would still recommend filing the AR11 online, just in case, just to be on the safe side. Yes, your My USCIS account updates the address for immigration services, but if you have an active case, just in case, fill out that AR11 just to be on the safe side. Because thing is, with the cases, with immigration cases, you want to avoid any kind of problems, and you want to be as diligent, as careful as possible. So yes, it will update the address, but still, file that AR11 also online, just to be on the safe side. So hopefully was able to answer some of your guys' questions. If you have more questions, you can always drop them in the comments below, and I try to do these videos regularly, answering your questions, and sometimes I even do separate videos based on these questions. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Free Immigration Help Channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.